The Thin Red Line. Chapter 1. The Reunion. Outside my loft, I steady my breath, clutching the cold steel of my pistol. The thin strip of black thread I'd left wedged between the door and frame now lies on the floor. Someone's been inside while I was gone. Yet, my SRN-issued sensor didn't trigger, an ominous sign that my intruder is no amateur. I ready myself for what might be inside, my pulse hammering against my ribcage. The deadbolt clicks as I slide the key into the lock, echoing through the quiet hallway. My mind races. The wrong people must have found me, no other explanation makes sense. I push the door open, stepping into the familiar darkness of my apartment, my pistol raised, eyes scanning for danger. Silence. No creaks, no sounds. But my phone buzzes insistently in my pocket, signaling that I've tripped my own security sensor. I let it buzz. If I don't respond in 90 seconds, SIREN will deploy a team. Maybe I'll need them. I use my foot to close the door, carefully flicking the light switch on with my elbow. The room is as I left it, blackout curtains drawn, blankets scattered on the couch, empty coffee mug on the table. But I can feel it. Someone is still here. The faintest rustle alerts me, my body reacting on instinct. I spin, aiming my weapon toward the noise. And there she is. Standing in the doorway of my guest room, her gun drawn, the barrels of our weapons just inches apart. A rush of recognition shoots through me. I should have known it would be her. Dani Vargas. My heart clenches, but I push the emotion aside, gripping my pistol tighter. She hasn't changed much in the 2 years since we last saw each other. Still sharp, still strong, though more ink covers her arms than I remember. Her hair, once shoulder length, is now buzzed short. Her eyes, though, remain the same deep brown, the ones I'd once trusted more than anyone else's. Didn't anyone ever tell you that breaking into a girl's apartment is a bad first impression? I quip, cocking an eyebrow. She smirks. Still slow to react, Lena? I move fast, lunging for her gun, slamming it to the side as I aim to take her down. She blocks me easily, twisting out of reach, the years of combat training between us playing out in familiar rhythm. Her strength is her greatest asset, while mine has always been speed. But it's clear, this isn't our first fight. I grab the lamp, smashing it against her side, the room plunging into semi-darkness as the bulb shatters. Before I can capitalize, Dani's already moved, kicking out at my legs. I recover just in time, pinning her to the floor, my gun now leveled at her chest. We both breathe heavily, eyes locked in a tense standoff. My phone buzzes again, a reminder that the SIREN team is about to step in. Why now? I pant, the pistol steady in my hand. I've been laying low. Hell, I was even on a date tonight. She raises an eyebrow, her eyes sweeping over my outfit, jeans and a cropped tee, more relaxed than my usual tactical gear. A flicker of something unreadable passes over her face. Adet ku. Iglare et here. You didn't answer my question. Why the hell are you here? She shifts, her voice low. They want the Red Line files. My pulse spikes. Of course, it's about the Red Line mission. The mission that could bring the entire East Coast to its knees. Too bad for them, I say, my finger tightening on the trigger. I'm not here to kill you, Lena. I search her eyes for the lie, but there's something else there, something I can't ignore. If you know what's good for you, you'll leave, I warn, keeping my voice steady. Dani's lips twitch into a smirk, but there's no humor in it. You and I both know that's not how this works. We're locked in a dangerous stalemate, guns trained on each other, but beneath it, there's something more. A pull that has always been there, simmering under the surface, but denied for the sake of our careers. We had been inseparable during training, each other's anchor in the madness of the academy. But that was before we were assigned to different agencies. Before we were enemies. I hear the tiny beep of my phone's 90-second countdown hitting 0. I lift a hand, waving at the Bluetooth speaker on the table that's transmitting my conversation to the SIREN control room. All good here, I say, my eyes still on Danny. Just dropped my phone. Danny's eyes widen slightly. She knows what I've just done. I've let her off the hook. SIREN won't send anyone. But why? What the hell are you doing? She mutters, her voice unsteady for the first time. I shrug, lowering my pistol, though my muscles remain tense. I'm asking myself the same thing. We stare at each other, unmoving, hearts racing. The tension between us, once purely professional, now feels like a live wire, sparking with everything we've left unsaid. Why didn't you kill me the last time? I ask, breaking the silence. You've had plenty of chances. Her face hardens, but her eyes give her away. There's hesitation there. Regret. Maybe I should've. I step closer, the air between us crackling. But you didn't. For the first time, her hand trembles slightly as she lowers her gun. I volunteered for this mission, Lena, she admits quietly. I wanted to see you. My breath catches, and for a moment, I feel something dangerous, hope. We could have been so much more than this, if things had been different. If only the world hadn't put us on opposite sides. I'm not quitting SIREN, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. But maybe, we don't have to be enemies tonight. Danny's eyes darken, her breath catching. What are you suggesting? I step closer until we're just a breath apart. I'm saying we have a choice. Just for tonight. Her eyes flicker, her jaw tightens, and then, as if pulled by an invisible force, she closes the gap between us. Our lips collide and everything else, our missions, our agencies, our deadly loyalty, is forgotten, at least for the night. Torn between us. Characters. Ebony, a sharp, intelligent agent for TASK, committed to her mission but conflicted by past feelings. Nikki, a former classmate turned mercenary with a troubled past, working for a rival organization. The tension between us is thick, our bodies intertwined, sweat slicked, every touch sending sparks through me. Nikki's hands are rough but familiar, tracing lines down my back, and it's in this moment of closeness that the world outside seems to blur. The secret files, the looming betrayal, the missions that defined us, they melt away, leaving only her lips on mine and the shared heat between us. I arch beneath her, a moan escaping my lips, and she smiles against my skin, the confidence in her movements both infuriating and intoxicating. Every kiss, every brush of her fingers against my body pulls me deeper into a whirlwind of pleasure and confusion. I hate her for showing up, for disrupting my life, for making me feel this way again. But there's no time to dwell on it. Because this moment, as electric and consuming as it is, will end. And when it does, I have to make a choice. The pistol on the coffee table calls to me, cold and deadly. My heart thuds in my chest, not from the intensity of Nikki's touch but from the inevitable decision that looms ahead. I'm TSK's best agent, and they rely on me to keep national security intact. Nikki is a threat to that, a living, breathing danger that could tear everything apart. She slides lower, her lips kissing every inch of skin, every sensitive spot she knows so well. My legs tremble as she reaches the apex of my thighs, and I almost forget myself. Almost. But then I catch sight of the gun again. The Munich files. No. I can't let her walk out of here knowing what I've done, where they're hidden. My mind races even as my body surrenders to the way Nikki touches me, to the familiar rhythm we once had. Years ago we were a team, training together, inseparable, until the world pulled us apart, assigning us to different fates. The past and present swirl together in a storm of emotion, pleasure, and pain. Nikki glances up at me, her lips brushing against the inside of my thigh. Ebony, I miss this. Us. Her voice is barely a whisper, but it cuts through the haze. I don't answer, because what can I say? That I miss her too? That I've thought about her every damn day since she left? That there was a time when I would have given anything to stay with her, to build something out of the mess we found ourselves in? But this isn't the time for nostalgia. This is survival. She moves her hand, teasing me, and my mind screams at me to pull away, to grab the gun. But my body betrays me, my hand reaching for hers instead, lacing our fingers together. She smiles, and I hate how much I crave this. How much I crave her. Why are you really here, Nikki? I breathe, my voice low, barely audible over the sound of our ragged breathing. She hesitates, her lips hovering over my skin, and I know she's weighing her words. Finally, she whispers, I told you. I wanted to see you. I tug at her hair, forcing her to meet my gaze. That's not all. You wouldn't risk everything just for that. Her brown eyes lock onto mine, dark and full of something I can't quite place. You know what it is, Ebony. You always knew. The moment stretches between us, heavy and dangerous. And I realize that she's right, I do know. This isn't just about the files, or the mission, or even the job. This is about us, about unfinished business. About two people who were always more than colleagues, who never had the chance to explore what could have been. But it's too late for that now. I take a deep breath, my resolve hardening. It doesn't change anything. Nikki's smile falters, her fingers stilling on my skin. Doesn't it? You're going to tell me that after all this, after everything we've been through, you're still going to follow TSK's orders. I force myself to sit up, pushing her away gently. You know I have to. Her face twists in frustration, her eyes flashing with anger and something deeper. She stands up abruptly, grabbing her discarded clothes and yanking them back on. The air between us is suddenly charged with tension, as though the fragile peace we'd created has shattered into a million pieces. You're just like them, Nikki mutters, pulling her jumpsuit over her shoulders. All you care about is the mission, the job. I stand up, reaching for my own clothes, my mind spinning. You don't get to say that, not after you broke into my apartment, not after you pointed a gun at me. I pointed a gun at you because I had to. Nikki snaps, her voice rising. Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I enjoy being sent to kill someone I care about? The words hang in the air, heavier than any weapon. My stomach twists at the raw emotion in her voice. Nikki never shows this side of herself, not to anyone. And it's terrifying, because I know that beneath all the layers of armor she wears, there's still a part of her that's vulnerable. Nikki, I whisper, stepping closer. She shakes her head, backing away. Don't make this harder than it already is. I pause, my heart hammering in my chest. I know what I have to do. I know what the job demands of me. But the thought of hurting her, of ending her life, it's unbearable. Suddenly, Nikki reaches into her pocket, her movements quick. My instincts kick in, and I grab my pistol from the coffee table, aiming it at her chest. But instead of pulling out a weapon, she tosses something small onto the couch. The flash drive. The Munich files. My breath catches. What? I stole them back from the people who wanted them. I didn't come here to take them from you. I came to give them to you, Nikki says quietly. I couldn't let them use it against you. I lower my gun, disbelief flooding through me. Why? She steps closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Because I'm not the enemy, Ebony. Not to you. And in that moment, I realize that she's right. She never was. The room is still, the weight of Nikki's words hanging between us. My pistol remains in my hand, but it feels heavier now, like the decision I need to make is one that could crush me. The flash drive gleams on the couch, an artifact of betrayal and secrets, yet here she is, handing it to me, a gift, an offering. "Nikki," I say, my voice barely steady. "Why would you do this? Why risk your life to bring me this?" She steps closer, her eyes locked onto mine, intense and unflinching. "Because you deserve more than just orders. More than just being a pawn in someone else's game." Her words stir something deep inside me, a part of me I've tried to bury. For so long, I've been TSK's perfect agent, efficient, loyal, unflinching. But Nikki, she always saw through the mask. Even when we were younger, she knew the parts of me that I kept hidden, the fears, the doubts. I thought I'd buried all of that after she disappeared from my life, but now it's surfacing, raw and painful. I take a deep breath, trying to regain control. "I don't need saving, Nikki." She chuckles darkly, her lips twisting into a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Maybe not. But what if I do?" That stops me. For a moment, I see past the bravado, past the tough exterior she's always worn like armor. There's something broken in her, something desperate. And it hits me like a punch to the gut. Maybe she's not here to manipulate me. Maybe she's here because she doesn't know where else to go. "I've been running, Ebony," Nikki says, her voice soft, vulnerable in a way I've never heard before. "For so long, I've been running. From them. From myself. From us." I feel the pull of her words, the way they draw me toward her, the way they make me want to forget everything. The mission, the lies, the betrayals. But I can't. I won't. "There's no us anymore," I say, forcing the words out, even though they feel like shards of glass in my throat. "You chose this life, Nikki. You made your choice when you left." She flinches, as if my words cut her as deeply as they do me. "You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to leave you? I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice." She shakes her head, stepping back. "Not for people like us. Not for people like me." Her words hang in the air, and I realize what she's really saying. She's been trapped too. Not by TSK, but by the organization that now hunts her. The same organization that sent her after me. She wasn't just a mercenary, she was a pawn in their game, just like I am in mine. And suddenly, everything feels different. The room feels smaller, the air heavier. The woman standing in front of me isn't just my enemy, my target. She's something else. Something more. "You have the files," I say slowly, processing the gravity of the situation. "You could have taken them and disappeared. Why bring them to me?" Nikki's eyes flicker with something I can't quite name. Regret, hope, maybe both. "Because I trust you, Ebony. I always have." Her words hit me like a freight train. Trust. That's what this is about. Despite everything that's happened between us, despite all the years and the pain, there's still a sliver of trust between us. And that terrifies me. Because trust, in our line of work, gets people killed. I look down at the flash drive, its smooth surface reflecting the dim light of my apartment. It holds the key to everything, the Munich files, the intel I need to complete my mission. But more than that, it holds the truth. The truth about Nikki. About us. My grip tightens around the gun, and I know what I have to do. The logical part of me, the part that's been trained to think like an agent, tells me to arrest her, to bring her in and complete the mission. But another part of me, the part that still remembers the feel of her lips, the warmth of her body, the sound of her laughter, can't bear the thought of turning her over to the people who want her dead. "Nikki," I start, but before I can finish, a deafening crash erupts from the front door. It splinters into pieces as armed men flood into the apartment, their guns trained on us. "Down. Down now," one of them shouts, his voice distorted through his helmet. Nikki's eyes widen in panic, and before I can react, she grabs my wrist and pulls me to the floor, just as a barrage of bullets shreds through the room. The couch, the walls, everything is torn apart in a hail of gunfire. I roll to the side, my training taking over, firing off shots at the intruders. Nikki moves in sync with me, her own gun drawn, returning fire with lethal precision. But there are too many of them. We're outnumbered. Nikki ducks behind the kitchen island, panting, her face streaked with sweat. "TSK?" she shouts over the chaos. "No." I yell back, glancing at the tactical gear the men are wearing. "They're not mine." Which means they're hers. The organization that sent her after me has come to clean up their mess. And they don't care who gets caught in the crossfire. "Nikki, we have to move," I shout, grabbing her arm. She hesitates, her eyes darting between me and the shattered remains of my apartment. "Ebony, now," I scream, pulling her toward the window. We crash through the glass, falling into the night air. The cold rush of wind slams into me as we plummet toward the street below. My heart races, adrenaline surging through my veins. At the last second, I hit the button on my belt, deploying my emergency grappling hook. It catches onto a nearby building, jerking us to a stop just before we hit the ground. We swing into an alley, landing hard on the pavement. My body aches from the impact, but I don't have time to dwell on it. Nikki is beside me, breathing hard, her eyes wild with fear and adrenaline. "Who the hell were they?" I demand, pulling her to her feet. She shakes her head, wiping blood from a cut on her cheek. "It doesn't matter. We need to get out of here." I don't argue. We sprint down the alley, dodging through the shadows, the sound of sirens and helicopters closing in. We don't stop until we're far away, hidden in the maze of the city. Panting, I lean against a wall, my mind racing. The files, the mission, Nikki, everything has spiraled out of control. "What now?" I ask, my voice hoarse. Nikki turns to me, her expression grim. "Now, we run." And for the first time in a long time, I realize she's right. There's no going back.